Hey, this is Clayton, Olson, and Jack Butler here.
Yo.
And we are going to talk about a concept to make a relationship work, how to make a relationship work. Now, obviously, this is, it's a pretty big question because there's so many components that go into actually creating a successful relationship. But Jack and I were talking about one concept today that I thought was worth creating a video around. So, Jack, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, we're talking here today about telling the truth and owning your experience. So the essence of this is to say, what if you can get to the truth of what's really going on in your relationship, there's a power in that. Even if that's a difficult truth for you to be in contact with yourself, even if it's hard to be in conversation with your partner about that, there's actually something very freeing for you and your partner to both be in orientation to what is actually going on. And we can talk about you speaking unarguably, right? So whatever your experience is, whether it's joy or whether it's despair and sadness, that is your experience. And part of intimacy is actually being closer to the other person's experience. So your partner wants to know what's really going on for you.
So it's not necessarily just telling truth about the things that are happening in your life, the things that you're doing, the conversations that you're having with people. But what I hear you saying is it's around really being able to communicate what you are feeling on the inside.
Yes.
And not holding or hiding that back in the relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Feelings, thoughts, sensations, insights.
Yeah.
But I like that you go to feelings because that's probably for most of us is the hardest place.
Right.
And to really know someone in a relationship is to know their heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And immediately when I think about sharing feelings, one of the things that sometimes stops me in relationship from sharing my heart or how I feel is there's a sense of judgment that I might have around what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't be feeling something,
Totally.
right? If I'm feeling like I want to pull away or shut down, or if I'm feeling maybe that I'm not attracted or not quite as attracted to somebody,
Yes.
right? I feel like sharing that would be almost a betrayal of the relationship, or it could cause upset or rock the boat. But what I'm hearing you say is that there's an actual power in being able to name that experience rather than hide it.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, why do you think that is? What do you think is the power in being able to name your experience, and what do you think that does then for the relationship?
Well, I think there's two things. One is it means you're not abandoning yourself. So this is a potential subtle but slippery slope, is that we start disowning our experience to stay in relationship with the other, or because we think it's too difficult for us to hear or for them to hear. So in a way, now who's in the relationship? Only 75% of you, or only 50% of you.
Right.
And if that happens and happens again, suddenly it's like you're not really in relationship with a real person. You're in relationship with a way of presenting themselves that they're wanting you to be in relationship with because they're too fearful, scared, upset to show what's really going on.
Right.
And so that's a big part of it. And the second thing is this intimacy. Intimacy is difficult because it's about the wholeness of the experience.
Yes. And who gets the other 25%? If you're only sharing, say, 75% of yourself in the relationship,
You
and
might
you
start
begin
going outside.
Right, practicing sharing less and less, suddenly your friend starts getting the other 50%, right? Or some other person starts getting the 50%, and the connection between the two of you, the bandwidth in the relationship just gets more and more narrow, and less able to hold conflict, disagreements, fights, differences of opinion.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, and even if it weren't to go to someone else outside the relationship, it might just be that you're not fully then showing up in your life, right? A lot of us will get small in order to stay in relationship with a sort of an easier path of being in a relationship, but it's sort of short-term ease. For long-term, the relationship's probably not going to work.
Yeah. So do you think there's ever a time then when you wouldn't want to share your feelings? Is there ever a time then when you're in a relationship with somebody and you've got these things going on? And I can imagine how someone might, I can even see myself taking this quite dogmatically, right? And just sharing my experience consistently, and actually maybe hurting the other person or causing a little bit too much undue stress in the communication, where they're wondering where my commitment is, or they're having to almost like weather the storm of consistently hearing my emotions. So how would one know when to share and what to share versus when to hold back and realize like this is for you to handle on your own versus bringing it into the relationship and presenting it as something that where you're being transparent?
I don't think there's an exact hard and fast rule on that, but I'm
Yeah.
going to throw out 2 or 3 things that I think will give some context
Beautiful.
for that.
Yeah.
One is I think it's useful to have a place in your life where you're getting to work your stuff that's not your relationship, right? Which could be your men's group, it could be your best buddy, it could be your therapist, it could be a spiritual guidance teacher, but some place where you get another perspective and where you can fully let anything out without it having the impact on the other person that they're going to take it personally.
Yeah.
Because that takes practice in relationship.
Yep, absolutely.
I think the second part of this is there's a difference between telling someone what your experience is and acting out. So if I'm angry with you, I could be like, Clayton, I've got to tell you I'm really angry with you right now, and here's why, and here's what's going on. That's different than me acting out and trying to provoke you, or trying to get you to agree with me, or trying to get you to change something.
Gotcha.
And for most of us, it's real work to be able to own our experience in that way, where it's like, you are not the problem.
Right.
There might be something I want you to change. There might be an adjustment that we can make, but actually I'm going to take some responsibility for my experience right now. You're not the only reason I'm angry.
Yeah.
And so not acting out, because typically when we act out, we trigger.
Right.
And now we're in a trigger pattern together, and that's it's not looking good there, Clay.
Yeah, no, I get it. I've been in that trigger pattern many times in my relationships. Yeah. So also what I'm hearing is being able to communicate your emotions rather than react from them. It's almost like you're able to neutralize the trigger, right? You're able to speak to the trigger. You're not burying it. You're not covering it up or denying that it's there.
Yes.
You're speaking it out loud, and it's almost like an exhaust on a car, right?
Totally.
It's able to clear something out of the way for something new to come in. And once it's dealt with, once it's seen, once it's named, the two of you then can move past from a place of choice.
Yes. And typically we don't believe that emotion is going to do that, right? When we start to feel pain or sadness or disappointment or potential conflict, I think our brain says this could go on for a long time, so I don't want to go there. Whereas actually being in contact with authentic emotion, sometimes it can pass through in seconds and minutes. Yeah. Particularly if we don't identify with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So any closing thoughts around how somebody would even structure this type of being able to name their experience, right? I think it can be a little confusing, and it can be counterintuitive to have that strategy available to you when you're feeling anger, right? Because someone might act from anger and think that they're just expressing it. Oh no, I'm naming it. I'm bringing that feeling into the relationship right now, when really they're reacting to it. So is there a format or even just a simple place to start of how you would bring a certain negative emotion or emotion that you're holding on to that needs to be named into the relationship in a way where the two of you can examine it and where it doesn't cause that trigger pattern? Yeah.
I think the key is to talk at the level of emotion and sensation about what is going on without needing to explain it. So if I say I'm angry, I feel really hot inside, I'm kind of shaking right now, I'm spinning out a bit in my head. I don't feel safe with you right now. Like that's all kind of unarguable experience, right? It's subjective experience.
I can't tell you that that's not your experience. I can't argue it. You're not attacking me. You're not telling me that I am something. Right.
Totally. Yes. And I think to be able to pause when you're doing that at the end of it, then maybe we hear your experience. And then from that place, perhaps we want to go into like, oh, so what actually happened? What was the through line? But I think couples, and I've been guilty of this, it's too quickly to get into the analysis. When actually, if we can just do the exhaust process that you're talking about, now we've got more capacity available. Now we're actually going to see and discern and discriminate more. But if I'm in emotional flood, I'm probably not going to be seeing very clearly what actually is going on.
And the problem with analysis too, getting into this place where you're bringing your logic into it and trying to understand the emotions before they've been properly expressed, is suddenly you start painting people in boxes, including yourself, and then it can be very easy to indirectly start blaming somebody, right? Or telling somebody that they are acting a certain way or that you're doing something because of X, Y, Z, which then raises defenses, and it doesn't really hold the space for that emotion to be present in the relationship. Beautiful.
This is a good game for people to play, and you need a partner to play this. Right. So this is hard to only do if it's on one side of the relationship. It's much easier if you can both have a shared view of this is what we're going to do when difficult stuff comes up.
Awesome.
Well, good to be talking with you on this, man. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and we'd love to hear your comments, questions, pushbacks, disagreements, or how this is going for you in your relationship experience.
Thank you.
Cheers.